Kizu wrote, "Hey everyone, I know that by the simple nature of this question, you're going to label me as a Nolan fanboy, and that's fair, but I think it's a genuine question that deserves some consideration. Do you think because it has so many big ideas, has similar ambitions in terms of scope, and tries to harken back to past sci-fi blockbusters, Interstellar is having a similar initial reaction from critics like 2001 and other sci-fis that were later hailed as great did? The trailers were fantastic, but I've read that after the 1 hour mark, when they go into space, a ton of nutty stuff happens, and people might not have been prepared for that. Again, just from what I've read, I don't think we've had a film like this in a long time, and that maybe threw some critics off. Anyway, thanks."
All right, guys, we have a good little tidbit for you if you haven't heard yet before we get into the Interstellar question. Captain Marvel has been announced, release date July 6, 2018. Quick thoughts on that?
Yeah! I'm excited.
That's fantastic news.
Yes,
really
awesome.
good. That's what we wanted.
That's what we wanted. So give us
good.
our Black Panther next, and we'll be on a good roll.
I'm gonna keep looking into it.
Yes. So back to Interstellar. So 3 of us have seen it at the table, which is great because I want both perspectives. So. I personally was blown away by this film. I feel like Nolan in general is the type of filmmaker that takes really ambitious, large ideas, and so instead of enjoying the cinematic experience, people like to find the flaws of it. I personally give myself to cinema, and he is just such a breathtaking filmmaker, both visually, and he's not afraid to touch those risky, controversial topics as well. And I personally just think, sure, there are flaws in the film, but that doesn't take me out of the experience because it was gorgeous. The performances were spectacular, and it raised a lot of really deep questions that really make you think about where human race is going and what's after this if we continue to destroy our planet. So I think that it's really fascinating, and it's just, I was sitting there after the film completely like in awe and silence. I felt like my brain exploded from sensory overload. And to me, that's masterful. And you know, his films are always very, very divided, always. That's just kind of what goes with it. Less the Dark Knight trilogy, but more like Inception, and when he's dealing with other concepts like that, big ideas. So personally, I think you guys are in for a treat. But that's the kind of filmmaker he is, and he's not afraid to be misunderstood or misinterpreted because he stands true to his art. So personally, I thought this was the most spectacular experience I've seen in a long time. I was literally silenced. I looked at Alicia, I'm like, what? But I know a lot of people that were just like, they pretended to be deep, but it wasn't. But I get Nolan, and I give myself to cinema. I don't need to pull apart flaws because it takes me out of the film. I'm in it. So Alicia, you saw it as well. What are your thoughts on just Nolan?
Yeah, well, he always does these great high concepts and then grounds them in reality. And I know some people were saying maybe the emotional stuff didn't work or it felt a bit manipulative, but for me, the spectacle was insane. Seeing it in IMAX 70mm was an experience that I'll never forget. And you can see all the references to 2001: A Space Odyssey. There's some spinning things, some things that look like monoliths, and also a lot of references to The Right Stuff, another film that he was inspired by. It's got that optimistic quality about it. I love this movie. I still say Birdman's my favorite, but I think it'll definitely go down in history as just a technological achievement, because just what you see on screen, I don't want to spoil anything, is just amazing, and yeah, mind blowing.
Truly. So what are your thoughts, Shep, having not seen the film but knowing just Nolan's film as a whole and what you've seen and heard for Interstellar?
When I first heard about Interstellar, and you know, it was very secret, you know, cornfields and stuff, didn't really know too much about it other than it was going to be about outer space and perhaps it's time for mankind to look for a new home. So once I heard that that was just the genesis of the idea, I was all in, because I know Nolan can bring that kind of big movie spectacle, and he's a great filmmaker, and he actually cares about what he's making. He doesn't get sold out. He'll deliver on the idea, like it or not. You know, I like most of his films. Like I'd say 90% of his films. 1 or 2 of them I don't like, but you know, as a filmmaker, he's hit it out of the park. So for me to see him tackling big ideas like science fiction, like real hard sci-fi. And you know, I know he's going to take it with reality. There's not going to be googly aliens, and if there are, there'd be a reason for it. So
Exactly.
I'm so excited to see this film. You know, that being said, do I compare him to someone like Kubrick? Yes and no. I don't really compare filmmakers. So I mean, every filmmaker has their own individual stamp, and when they become an auteur, whether or not they're just a directing auteur, where they can take a script and mold it into their vision, or they're writing and a directing, they do both. That's, to me, it depends. Like, if you can write and direct something and do everything that the studio wants, that doesn't make you an auteur. What makes you an auteur is you come to it with a specific vision in mind and execute it. So Nolan, to me, is an auteur, just like Kubrick. So that's how I compare them. They're completely different, though, as filmmakers. Night and day, just not even this in the same ballpark.
No.
Just like Scorsese, different filmmaker. Just like David Lynch, different filmmaker. I love all of them. So it's like, that's what's so great about cinema in general. There's all these different flavors, and to have someone like Nolan deliver one every 2 years, it's like, yes. So I'm all in. I can't wait. I don't necessarily compare filmmakers like that.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But all the filmmakers you mentioned, I also love, but a lot of people don't. Because again, they're trying to find, flaws in the theories because they're presenting these big ideas. And I feel like a lot of these people are not as appreciated in their time because their films are so advanced. And I feel like that's what Nolan is.
And I feel like Interstellar is so optimistic that the cynical people, or people that have that cynicism, and you don't want to believe that. You want to pick it apart.
Well, I like that you mentioned the right stuff. If you haven't seen the right stuff,
that's great.
Go to it now. After you see this episode, click on some link, download it, watch it, rent it, buy it, see it. It's an incredible story of reality, our human experience, going to the moon, going into outer space, and just the journey that everyone who becomes an astronaut, who has vision or dreams, goes through. So it's really great. It's an amazing film.
And Interstellar is also a story about just love and hope beyond the science fiction aspect of it. So it's got so many layers and elements to it that I feel like it speaks to a lot of people. So if you're a Nolan fan, don't worry about those reviews out there. You're in for a ride.
Hey everyone, if you liked this video, click that thumbs up button and make sure to subscribe to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. It's free and helps you stay up to date with all the latest movie news, as well as our daily AMC movie talk show. Also, make sure that you follow us on Facebook and Twitter to stay up to date with all of our special promotions, contests, and prize giveaways.